All right, we're at Jack's place with Joey Amenta, and let's get into it, Joey.
Bravo, Jack.
During the 70s, you were one of the youngest guitarists to start touring in a pro band. And what age did you decide to play the guitar?
Probably at the age of 5. Dad would be in his old EK, and we'd be going to see our relatives in Geelong and be playing the radio. And I remember that Mum and Dad used to tell me, I actually remember myself being in the back seat, and I'd just start freaking out when Dad would switch the radio off, really bad. And they'd look at each other and go, this is bizarre, you know.
So which guitarist first turned you on to music and did you get into?
You know, I was going to lessons. I started when I was 9, and I remember we used to go, Dad used to take me to lessons Saturday mornings to old Harry Shorten in Coburg, and we used to come back and Mum would make hot dogs, the Australianis Azizia, she would call them, the Aussie sausages, the hot dogs, and we'd have sauce. And I remember watching Uptight, and the very first guitar player that blew me away was Billy Thorpe. He went like this. And I just sat there and I just went, oh, goodness gracious me. And I went, because I knew an and I went, look at that. And then I noticed with the bar chords, he'd do this. Fogarty bar. Molly Meldrum interviewed John Fogarty, and he said to him, so that when you're playing that Cosmos Factory album, you know, you do that solo that goes for 11 minutes on Keep On Chugling, you know. He goes, and your eyes are closed, you know. And he said, what are you thinking about? And John Fogarty said, oh, man, you know, I'm thinking about, I've got to mow my lawn at home and, you know, and go shopping and all that. So I grabbed the guitar. Again, I'd always grab the guitar as a kid and practice. And I remember going, like, I knew how to do this. I remember closing my eyes. And I remember a distinct, different feeling to when I did it with my eyes closed to when I did it with my eyes opened. A really, really different feeling. So they were probably the main, you know, John Fogarty, you know, Creedence, because my uncles had Creedence, the Cosmos Factory. That was probably, and then Slade Alive. There's a great story about Noddy Holder.
So you're touring with Wendy and the Rockets.
Wendy and the Rockets and ZZ Top, and it was on a sort of a break period. And Dennis, and we were going to have a party, and Dennis said, you know what, I'm going to bring Noddy along to the party. And I was just, all day, I was so excited. I was thinking, is he really going to bring Noddy? Lo and behold, we have this party. In Excess were downstairs. A couple of the In Excess people and manager and members came up to the party, and we're all partying. And I thought, and there was an empty chair, and I thought, oh, this is it. This is my break. So I went and sat next to him, you know, sort of trying to be nonchalant, you know. I sort of sat there and I went, pretending like, Noddy Hole, you're sitting there. I didn't realise. But, you know, really I'd made a beeline for the chair. And I said, Noddy, I just need to say to you that, you know, Slade were one of my first and biggest influences when I was a kid. And this is really cool. He turned around and he goes, fuck off. And I went, yeah. It was then and there that I knew I'd made it as a musician. And Noddy Holder told me to fuck off. And I remember Lonely Bull. And I remember there wasn't any guitar on it, but I remember distinctly that little speaker listening to it, and I can remember the feeling coming out of the trumpets and stuff. I said, wow, look at these guys, you know, they're playing this instrument, but there's so much feeling coming out. How do they do that? And that's what started getting me, and eyes closed, and, you know.
So you were taking lessons, and how many hours a day would you be practicing at home?
Oh, I never took the guitar off me. I mean, I just had the guitar night and day. I just played. Yeah, and then I remember Keith Richards saying, if you want to get really good at the guitar, you have to sleep with it. A couple of times I took it to bed with me, you know, but that got a bit uncomfortable. So I'll leave that one again. It gets a bit, the strings hurt when you roll over at night and you hit those bits.
So needless to say, you didn't do too well with your school assignments. You were really more focused on the guitar at a very young age.
Bad. I remember a maths test teacher I hadn't noticed. He was behind me in, you know, the old classroom with the old desks, and I was drawing this Marshall amplifier, you know. I was drawing a Marshall amp and a guitar and stuff and just dreaming. I was doing this. I drew the grill with the Marshall name, and then I drew like a guitar and just dreaming like this. And he walked past and I got a clip behind the ears, and he goes, "What are you doing?" I went, "Oh, well, sir, that's a guitar amplifier." And he said, well, stand up and explain to the class what all that does. And I went, oh, well, that's a guitar amplifier there, and an electric guitar, and the pickups pick it up, and blah, blah, blah. He goes, it's a pity you're not like that with your mathematics now. Sit back down and do your work. And I went, all right.
Wagging school and daydreaming wasn't really looked upon as something they encouraged.
No.
But I imagine it's something you did a lot.
Yeah, I did a fair bit of that. Oh, man, you know, if Dad had ever found out, he would have killed me, I reckon.
But your mum and dad, especially your dad, was very supportive.
Very supportive. All my relatives would come along, you know, as you know, the Italian relatives would visit, you know, on a Saturday afternoon, and they'd sit there and I remember, you know, one relative saying, "But what are you going to do when you're 50?" And I said, "I'll play guitar." And they'd look at my dad. My dad said, "Yeah, you know, you'll play the guitar. You know, then I'll teach and I'll play, you know."
And your father already had it in his mind that you were going to go that little bit further with it.
Yeah, he had it because he could see that I had it, as my mum used to say, you know, she sings, she's got it in her bones, and he could see that I had it in me, you know.
So you were around 15 years old, you were wagging school.
I was, Jackson, I was wagging, yeah.
Thankfully you were wagging school that day, and you were playing some guitar in a music shop.
Emil's Music Clinic. So in walks Ken Murdoch, and he gets a piece of paper, and he goes, Emil, we're looking for a guitar player. And Emil's like, repair it, you know, he's doing a fret job. He's going, yeah. He's going, can I write an ad? Yeah, no worries. He goes, guitar player wanted, blah, 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 to join, blah, 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 blah. And at the end he writes this. I don't know if everyone can see that.
No shit, please.
So this is what he writes, right? I'm like, 14 years old.
In your school uniform.
In my school, my purple St. Joe's uniform.
Wagging school.
Yeah, and Roger goes, hey, Joe plays guitar, you know, and Ken's like, you know, he's looked me up and down, and I'm just sitting there like this. I'm like, oh, my God. And he said, oh, yeah. And at the time was Baby Please Don't Go. Baby Please Don't Go, AC/DC was actually the number one hit at the time. It was like, I played all this sort of stuff. And I said, not only can I do that, but I can do this too. Baby, please don't go. Baby, please don't go. And he went, okay. He goes, Emil, can I use your phone? And so I'm just sitting there, I'm thinking, what's he going to do now? So he rings Michael, who was the eldest. He was 17 and a half. He was about to get his license. So he goes, Michael, I found someone, you need to talk to him. So I got on the phone, and I said, Michael to this day tells a story of how I got on the phone. And I said to him, Michael, you know, I'm young, good-looking, and really talented. I'm your man. And Michael goes, you sound like the man. And he said, can you come to the Moreland Hotel? We're playing at the Moreland Hotel. And here I am with Sicilian parents, wagging school. And what do you reckon I said, Jackson? I said, yep, I'll be there. He goes, be there at 8:30. I said, yeah, I'll be there, no worries. Next story, I had to go home and tell Dad, so I rock up. I'm like absolutely cacking my pants. And I roll up, I go, Pa. And he goes, what? Each pasta. And Mum's made the, you know. I go, Pa, I met these guys. So, how'd you meet these guys? Oh, after school, I went to this shop and I met this guy, and they're Italian, you know, and I think that was my saving grace. And they play in a band, and they're professional, and they're playing tonight at the Moreland Hotel, and they want me to go. And he dropped his knife and fork, and he goes, "What, kid dishi? What are you saying?"
What are you saying?
I said, "Well, they want me to go there tonight." He goes, "How can you do that?" I said, "Well, if you take me there." And I walked in, Jackson, and there were road cases with Cloud9, roadies, girls, sitting on their knees.
Your dad was there, seeing all this?
No, he dropped me off. He dropped me off and went.
Because you know what would have happened?
Yeah, he would have went, Because my first school social, where AC/DC played it, they got $350 a fork and a high over here. And Dad, you know, I was trying to be cool to all these chicks and stuff, you know. It was like 9:30 at night, and Dad came and got me, which was so uncool. So, yeah, so he drops me off, and I walk in, and, you know, there's a road case of Virgil Donati, and, you know, who's a world-famous drummer now. And to me, he was world-famous back then, because I knew what he was, who he was then. You know, Michael Ken with his old Teleco mic, you know, and I just couldn't believe the atmosphere. And Michael came up being the elder of the band, and he said, you know, who I'm playing in a jazz band with now, actually, who owned Bennett's Lane, who owns a jazz lab in Brunswick, Michael Tortoni. But back then it was uncool to call yourself a WOG name, so he called himself Gemini, because that's his star sign. Anyway, that's another story. But so he said, oh, so you think you'd want to do this? And I went, yeah, I really want to do this. He said, all right, well, we'll start rehearsals in a couple of days. I said, you need to come and talk to my father. And he said, yeah, that's no problem. So the three of them came down the next night on the Friday night, and Mum and Dad, they sat in the lounge, and they said to Dad, they said, look, we've got, we don't make any money, but, we have these prospects. We've got a truck, and we've got roadies, and we've got management, and we've got a record deal, and we've got blah, 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 blah. And
we want Joey.
And we want him, and Dad looked at me and said, what do you want to do? And I did this. Dad, I want to rock. And he goes, all right, well, tomorrow we'll go tell the teacher that you're going to leave.
So you joined Taste.
Yep.
Well, I was still Cloud9 back then.
Cloud9, yeah. And
how soon was your first major gig with them?
Oh, man, the major gig was supporting Susie Quattro. I did a couple of gigs. We rehearsed for 2 weeks. So two and a half weeks after I left school, I was playing at Festival Hall, supporting Susie Quattro.
Right, now we were chatting about this before we started.
Yeah.
Now, I was at that show. I was 14 years old. You people do the maths. So you're on stage, Festival Hall, opening up for Susie Quattro.
Yes, I'm there.
And you fell on your backside. What happened?
Yeah, I slipped. I was so nervous. I remember before I fell, and people have come up to me and said that they saw that and they thought it was part of like a stage act thing. But anyway, I remember I couldn't, I had no movement. From here to here was all stiff, and from here to here I had no movement. It was all like this. And I remember I could only go like this, and I was so awkward, I went to sort of walk up to Ken, and oh man, one foot got in front of another foot, and I just fell flat on my ass with the guitar like this. That's what memories are made from, aren't they?
Rock and roll moment.
Yeah, rock and roll moment.
Yeah.
Tickle everybody's fancy.
Tickle your fancy, Rebecca.
Rebecca, yeah.
Boys Will Be Boys.
Boys Will Be Boys.
There was another one in there. Nights. That was the album.
Tickle Your Fancy.
Second
Rock and
album.
Roll Superstar, I think, was a single off the first one as well. That's my partner's favourite, Rock and Roll Superstar.
Rock and roll superstar, rock and roll superstar, rock and roll superstar. What you gonna do when your fans are leave?
What was life like for a bunch of young guys in a chart-topping band?
Yeah.
I mean, how old would you have been? So 17 or something?
Yeah, well, 17 towards the end. At the start, I was 15 and a half. And
So 2 successful albums,
yeah,
3 or 4 hit singles, you're touring.
I grew up on the road, Jackson. I grew up, like the kid who grows up in the circus, with the elephant. I grew up on the road. Like Mick always says, we had that, leather boots and all that stuff happening before Queen had even formed.
Yeah, before Kiss.
Before Kiss, we had. I remember Ken had these boots made. They were to here. They were boots with this sort of thing at the front. These leather boots, platforms,
Platform shoes.
and I used to go into girls' shops and buy girls' tops, and I used to wear my mum's ear necklaces and things, to watch Ken, play that left-handed old Telecaster, which he's still got, which his father bought off Beeb for $300, that guitar.
Beeb Birtles?
Yeah. He bought that and a twin reverb, $300.
Wow.
Beeb tried to get it back off him a little while ago. Ken said, no, it's not for sale. Ken was just personified rock, rock. And we were into the English, the sweet, deep purple.
Yeah.
I was really into that English, that rock, the Who.
Taste was doing extraordinarily well. You had 2 hit albums out there, a swag of singles that hit top of the charts.
Yeah.
You hosted Countdown.
I always thought that it'd be Ken that they'd ask, but anyway, they asked me to compare, and I won't say reluctantly. I wanted to do it, but I was really it was frightening.
Would be.
I was really nervous, man, and I got some pretty bad reviews. the week after in the papers, you know.
But it wouldn't be very rock and roll of you to get good reviews.
No, that wouldn't be.
You don't
No,
do that, do you?
wait, no. That's right.
But then you got an offer to tour with Queen.
Yeah.
So obviously something came about. You were going to fly to the UK,
Yeah.
tour with Queen.
Yeah, and all that. Cashbox and Billboard reviewed the albums and said that they were, we were going to, be
So
huge.
Taste had already split before the offer
Yeah.
came about. Okay.
Yeah. I get, look, it was just a thing of the, the parents getting together, and because we were so young, and saying, oh, look, these guys, nothing's happening. And then as it does in rock and roll bands, the vibe kind of changes and sort of dulls down and died a bit. So, and we having this meeting, and we knew Virgil was going to rock up and say, I'm going to leave the band. So then, Ken left, and there was three of us. We had to honour all these gigs. So Michael, Virgil, and I did these gigs without Ken, because then Ken joined Texas, Fat Daddy.
So after Taste disbanded, you kept yourself busy. You're playing guitar with some cream of Australian bands,
John
and
Belmore.
I'll name some of them. They included the amazing Russell Morris, Daryl Cotton, who sadly is no longer with us.
Rest in peace.
Wendy and the Rockets, of course. Wendy, who
we
fronted
formed Wendy and the Rockets.
Yeah, she fronted Rockdown.
Old Stapo, yeah.
Yeah, Moving Pictures, Dear Enemy, the Crazy Brian Mannix, the Uncanny X-Men, just to name a few.
Yeah.
So how does a young bloke get those gigs?
I was walking down Chapel Street one day with a mate, and I bump into Bill Putt from Spectrum, bass player. He goes, well, Russell Morris has just rocked into the country. He's looking for a guitar player. Give me your number. And so, lo and behold, that night, we're having pasta again, funny enough, at home, and the phone rings and it's Russell. And I'm thinking, man, this is the guy, I had his poster in my room when I was a kid, and and I'm talking to him, So again, Dad, I have to go to, and he's like, yeah, all right, okay. And I asked Russell one day, I said, Russell, how, can you teach me how to sing? And he said, okay, don't take your eyes off me. And slowly I learned how to harmonise with him really well. And
I was foraging around, doing some background for this interview, and I came across a video of you playing with Wendy and the Rockets.
Yes.
The song was Play the Game.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, this is cool, I remember this song.
Yeah.
And then this scene came in where all you guys were in the hot tub with Wendy.
In the hot tub, yeah.
Well, how did that all come about? Who suggested the scene, and how was Wendy with it?
She was great, Wen. There's a scene, did you see the football scene?
Yeah.
A bit of that. And then he said, we're all going to jump in the hot tub, and do this scene. So we all did. We jumped in the hot tub.
And we were all feet and toes in the right positions.
Yeah, they were. They were all in the proper positions.
Taste reformed around 2016, I believe, and you recorded a new album. It was called Life on Earth.
Your Life on Earth,
A concept album.
Yeah, killer, isn't it? And it was all done. The first album that he was given license to with no producer. He was the producer, and he did it all at home.
Yeah.
In his garage on Pro Tools. And, I reckon it's the best album we've done.
And you released your own self-titled EP.
Yeah, with Dakes on bass.
Dakes on bass.
Mixed guitars.
It's an absolute killer EP. It just kind of summarises everything music fans would know about Joey Amenta. If you could change one single event of your life, what would it be?
I nearly got to join Dragon. I would have loved to have joined Dragon.
If you could be one other person for one single day, who would that be?
Can it be female?
It could be female.
No. Antonio Stradivarius.
Violin maker.
Yeah.
Good choice. It's midday on a Sunday. We're in the late 1960s, early 70s.
Yeah.
So midday on a Sunday. Yeah. What dish does your mother serve on the table?
Can I say the Italian answer first?
Of course.
Un bello piatto di pasta.
Plate of pasta.
Which I reckon to translate, everyone would know that anyway.
That's right. And what show is your family watching on TV?
We're watching... We're watching World Championship Wrestling.
Well, Joey, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thanks, Jackson.
Mate, really enjoyed it.
Jackson's place. It's a good place to be.
Come to Jack's place, even though we're at Joey's place.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, man.
Do you remember playing down at Edwards Lake? Your mama waiting
We were always late. Those were the days of wonder, youth, innocence. Who would have thought it'd be coming round, sway again? If I could turn back time, you know what?